Welcome to another episode of Rod's Views, where you get uncontaminated, direct, unbiased, thought provoking, and thoughtful commentary around social affairs um, in our country. The GNU has been. I want to talk a bit about the GNU again, the cabinet. And the cabinet has been appointed. We had the ministers sworn in. Various of them have been excited. They've been making statements around what they will do in their new portfolios. And the ANC has pushed back a bit. And lots of people have shared stuff that the ministers are saying on social media and all over the show. So I've looked at it with interest, and I commented a bit here and there. But let's talk a bit today. I want to talk in particular around the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, one Gayton Mackenzie. And his pronouncements that he's been making over a while. I got a keen love for sport and cultural matters, arts and culture, having been in that field for a while. And now that I got lots of time to myself, I actually run a Sport and Jazz Foundation, which is a Yes We Can Sport and Jazz Foundation. I love sport and I love jazz. So it is good to see the energy of the new minister, and his enthusiasm and so on. But what's important is, while you might have good intentions and make all these noises and so on, running a ministry is a serious business. And sport, art and culture are serious and important. So there's two things that I look at from a minister in particular, maybe three things. The one is wisdom. The other one is being strategic, knowing when to do what and when to say what, and obviously follow through. And reading the room. Clearly, Mackenzie knows how to read the room, and he says the right things, and everyone goes hallelujah and so on. But when you think it through, then you realize, or you ask yourself the question, are these things that this guy is saying, are they strategic? And I ask, will that energy that he has, will it stay the course? Or will he do as he did in Beaufort West, was a Duracell buddy for about a year, made a lot of pronouncements, did lots of things and so on. And after a while, after a year, withdrew from the job, did something else. So the question is this guy again going to, and he said, I am withdrawing, I'm no longer being a mayor, I want to focus on growing the party in anticipation of the elections. So he did that. So now remember, there's elections in 2026 and 2029, is this guy after a year going to do the same and say, listen, I've now had my full of sport and arts and culture. I can't do anything more. I am now going to focus on the local government elections or the national elections in order to grow the party. Because the novelty wears off. And one cannot run a ministry or a department through sound bites and through social media and through gimmicks. Although you got to know how to use social media for the benefit of the department and your portfolio, and he does that well. So gimmicks, like some of the things that he announced, and that people are quite taken by that, is the fact that he said it's not going to be business as usual, not the usual suspects will be funded, and so on. And then he said he's going to publish the list for people to see who got funding. Everyone said hallelujah, because there is this bubbling under that there are certain connected few that always get funding from government in the arts and culture sector or in the sports sector. So people thought, no, that is great. We want to see who it is and so on. But then what the minister does, he goes and publish, or his department, his officials, as I know, they probably set him up. They give him a list to publish around people that got funding during the COVID relief, at 20,000 and 10,000, etc., for that 3 years where people couldn't work and so on. But that list is publicly available in any case. So now aspersions are now being unfortunately cast on people who were going through tough times, they couldn't earn a living and so on, and they got some funding. There are clearly instances of people's names appearing twice or thrice, so there must be explanations for that. But I think it is really short-sighted to have published such a list and making people feel even smaller, those who got funding. I think the kind of list that he should have published is who got paid for some of these big events and performances and so on, etc. And then we can talk. So that's the one thing in terms of, that's a populistic exercise in terms of focusing on that list. And I know those officials, it's probably the easiest thing to do. They've got that list already. They had to report to Parliament, so it's in their annual report and so on. So, yeah, Minister, here's a list. Hallelujah, he's happy. His officials complied with his request. Easy. But that could be, it's the easiest thing for the officials to do. They keep him happy. But he must dig on other stuff, on other right questions. Then there was an issue around the supporters, Mama Joy and so on, making a statement, they are not going to be funded anymore and so on, etc. Without knowing all the facts, how these people get funded, to what extent do they get funded, are there any maybe potential sponsors that also fund them? Do the federations come to the party? What are the benefit of it? Is there value and so on? Suddenly, everyone happy. No, they're going on a jail, etc. They're not going to be funded anymore. I would have looked at that if I was him, and I would have asked all the questions. I would have had Mama Joy and all of those people having a chat with them and so on, etc. And see whether it makes sense before you just go and stop something. Then I think he made some interesting things about drag racing be a sport and all of that stuff. That's fine. I think it is a sport. It's a recreational sport in any case. But there are a whole range of safety issues linked to it and all of that. So you can't just go and out of the blue make a statement and say that now it's going to become a national sport, it's going to be funded and all of that stuff. These things happen in any case. There's a process to make sure there's safety of the participants, there's a safety of the spectators, all of that stuff. So and then he makes statement around the school sport thing. I think that's perfect. We all support that. The issue is how you're going to do it, and are you going to have the courage to push this thing through? Because that's what's required. That is a big policy statement. But various ministers have said that. Mbalula said that. Natim Tetwa said all of that. The Minister of Education, the new, that was now Minister of Defense, they all used to say that. But what actually happened? And the money was put over, made available to sport and to education departments. What did they do with the money? What are the kind of programs and what kind of interventions and what kind of policy changes have taken? So it's good to say about school sport, but follow through. Then the thing around a child in sport is a child out of court. By the way, that was something that we coined when I was head of sport many years ago, and Steve Chweti, by the way. So that we fully agree with that. So the key is, that's why I'm saying this is serious business. And everyone is hallelujahing Gayton Mackenzie and so on. Now he's going to show, we're going to see this, going to see that. Let's do it properly. And then obviously the officials, there'll be good ones and there are useless ones and there are corrupt ones. Show us how you are going to deal with the corrupt ones properly, and the useless ones, get them out of the system. And I've got a sense, my perspective, there are in any case too many officials in the departments of sport, arts and culture, whether nationally or provincially. Some of that money must go to organizations, federations and entities that do programs and projects in the communities. So people, I think this guy, he's going to get tired, and people are going to get tired around his antics. Because remember, this is not even an 800-meter race that he's partaking in. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And it's not even a half marathon. It's ultra marathons and so on. So you must be in for the long cause, long haul. So the energy is appreciated, but we need to be careful around the sound bites and this whole thing around personality politics. We must not make a mistake that says nothing is going to happen or change in sport or in culture until Gayton says so. It's not up to Gayton. It's about the people involved in those industries. So we got to be careful to glorify one person, because we all got feet of clay. So I think we need to be very, very careful. Otherwise, we are going to lose the plot. Sport, arts and culture needs to be changed in a sustainable way for the better, that it can do what it's supposed to do without, irrespective of who the minister is or who the HOD becomes, etc. So, yeah, people, so that's my take on our new Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture. He's hopefully got good intentions. He wants to make a difference, got good energy, etc. but the question is strategic enough, the follow-through, and he needs to get good officials, either one or two advisors behind the scenes who can tell him the uncomfortable truths, and he probably need a few very competent officials who's got credibility, who don't have their fingers in the pie, who are not in it to support their friends and families, um, and who's in it to do what is good for South Africa and South Africans. Because remember, the minister must understand, and the officials, the president has said, and all the political parties have said, this 7th administration is about putting South Africans first. So yeah, subscribe to the channel or like the channel, Rod's Views on YouTube, if you want to hear some more direct, as I said, direct, uncontaminated, thoughtful and thought-provoking views. Salute.